and flashing imagery.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. From the four corners of the world, to the four corners of this ring, the fight starts now!
Touch gloves.
How do you like it?
Off the shoulder. So aggressive, so focused.
Look at these two guys! Still the undisputed champion of the world!
Well, a very good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for joining us. It's weigh-in day in Newcastle as we count down to the latest instalment in our Next Gen series, which aims to shine a light on the upcoming stars of tomorrow. Tomorrow night, 8-fight card to look forward to, headlined by Shabaz Masoud, a matchroom debut in his rescheduled clash with Jose Sanmartin. 10 rounds that one for the WBA Intercontinental Super Bantamweight title. Your main event tomorrow, live on DAZN. I'm Jamie Ward, and alongside me is Mr. Darren Barker.
Hello,
Darren,
mate.
Great to see you. First of all, congratulations are in order. A new matchroom and DAZN deal. Just tell us what this means to you and tell the world how pleased you are as well.
Buzzing. I'm on more money than Cristiano Ronaldo now.
You look
But over the moon. I'm thrilled. I'm living the dream, mate.
Absolutely. Well, we're very happy to have you on board, and I know
Cheers, mate.
the listeners very much are as well, Darren. Yesterday, the press conference setting was a bit more glamorous than this. We're on a step here. It's quite
Sticky
cold.
floor.
Quite cold.
It's a
sticky
nightclub.
floor.
It's sticky floor.
And I know you say you love the travelling, but I'm not sure if it's caught up with you, because you look like on that sofa, very relaxed alongside Jordan Banjo, that you might have nodded off a couple of times yesterday.
Well, it was nothing to do with the boxers. I've got 4 kids, Jamie, so any rest I can get is valuable.
Anyway, it's not all about you.
No.
This is about the boxing tomorrow night on DAZN. As I say, weigh-in day, 8 great fights to look forward to tomorrow night. And before the bell is back, Darren Barker, the first fight on his new deal, will be gracing your ears on the commentary desk. Alongside Barry Jones, I'll be on reporter's duty as well. We begin with Owen Rees, who takes on Konrad Sajkowski. That one, your opening fight, 5:15 p.m. before the bell underway across Matchroom and DAZN social channels. Before the return of Jimmy Sains, he takes on Jesus Lobato. Professional fight number 2 at middleweight for Jimmy, after impressing 6 weeks ago in his pro debut in London. And Ben Rees, brother of Owen, it's a family affair tomorrow in Newcastle. He takes on Saddam Mohamed Saitano at light heavyweight in our main event on Before the Bell. Before we cross live to the main broadcast, 7 p.m, the usual time for this one. We've got step-ups, we've got English title eliminators, and a title fight at the top of the bill. The battle of the unbeatens, first up at super welterweight, an English title eliminator at 154 pounds between Ewan McKenzie and Ishmael Davis. Then up to 160, an English title eliminator at middleweight between unbeaten Mark Dickinson and Grant Dennis. That one got fiery at the press conference. I'm sure we'll see much of the same as they face off for the final time this afternoon before they meet in the ring tomorrow night. Then Callum French returns 8 rounds against Jeff Ofori after a bit of frustration with injury. Great to see Callum back in the ring tomorrow night. And Cameron Vong takes centre stage, the highly rated young prospect. He takes on John Mosquera. That one at lightweight over 6 rounds. Before your main event, WBA Intercontinental Super Bantamweight title on the line, Shabaz Masoud versus Jose Sanmartin. I think, Darren, when you look at the circumstances around this fight, we weren't quite sure what was going to be happening. It looked like Cyrus Pattinson was going to fight Lewis Ritson. Cyrus was then beaten by Conor Walker, unfortunately for him. That fight was then postponed. McCormack then looked like he was going to fight Pete Dobson. He's pulled out for injury. Shabaz Masoud was due to fight last month, pulls out after his weigh-in in Liverpool through illness, now finds himself headlining a Next Gen show in Newcastle. I guess amongst all the twists of fate, it's great for all the fighters involved that we have a show tomorrow night.
Look, sometimes things happen for a reason, and that might be the case in this instance. Look, now we see Shabaz Masoud, who Ben Davison calls a future world champion, headlining on this card. And I'm all for these Next Gen shows. I think they're fantastic. It really gives these younger fighters an opportunity to showcase their skills and make a real name for themselves on fantastic cards. It's brilliant. I'm really looking forward to it. Some good fights.
The fighters are ready to face the scales and face each other this afternoon at today's weigh-in. So without further ado, let's hand down to our MC for today's proceedings, our very own Mr. David Diamante.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to Newcastle, England. For the official weigh-in,
for a big night of next-gen boxing taking place here on Saturday night. It's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing, and we're sponsored by Betfred, Stagefront, Everlast, and Forged Irish Stout. Of course, all the action will go out live around the world exclusively on DAZN. We have a big night of fights, a lot of talent up here in the north. 8 fights on the card. We have a title fight. We have a title eliminator. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring the fighters up to the stage so they can face the scale and face each other. Our first contest, 6 rounds in the super lightweight division. Now making his way to the stage with a professional record of 2 wins, 1 defeat, 1 draw, and 1 win coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Poland. Please welcome Konrad Tchaikovsky. Tchaikovsky. And his opponent now making his way to the stage. His young professional record thus far perfect. 1 fight, 1 victory, and that victory came by way of knockout. Fighting out of New Biggin by the Sea, please welcome Owen Reese. Reese. Now to the scale, Konrad Tchaikovsky. $141.5, 141.5 for Konrad Tchaikovsky. And now to the scale, the undefeated Owen Reese. All 141.55 for Owen Reese, 141.55.
Well, second fight as a professional tomorrow for former national champion Owen Reese. First 6-rounder as well. I think as David said there, 1 fight, 1 KO. He'll be eager, Darren, to keep up that KO record tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, and speaking to him yesterday at the press conference, he says he's an all-action fighter. And hearing what Eddie said in Liverpool on the Linares Catterall press conference, that he wants all his fighters to excite and entertain, well, he's got the style and the opportunity to do so. A very, very good fight, and I can't wait for this fight tomorrow night.
Reese versus Tchaikovsky, 6-round super lightweights matchroom boxing, live on DAZN from Newcastle, England.
We said there, Darren, about Eddie's little pep talks. It seems to be
He's working.
Because look at Liverpool, you know, Paddy Lacey, Will Crawler, Khalil Majid, all winning in impressive fashion, which is great to see.
Yeah, and let's hope they follow suit here. It's hopefully going to be the new wave of boxing, where you go in there and you don't worry about losing. You just want to go out there and excite and perform well.
Jimmy Sains about to hit the scales for his professional fight number 2. I know sometimes we always say you're a little bit biased with Tony Sims trained fighters, but a lot of potential and a lot being said about this young man.
Huge amount of talent with a great team, so the future looks very bright for Jimmy Sains.
Well, I believe Jimmy and opponent Jesus Lobato are standing stage side. 6 rounds middleweight this one. Here's David to bring the boys up.
Ladies and gentlemen, the action continues with a 4-round middleweight attraction, and now making his way to the stage with a professional record of 1 win, 2 defeats, 1 draw. He fights out of Principado de Asturias, España. Please welcome Jesus Lobato. Lobato. And his opponent now making his way to the stage. His professional record, 1-0 with 1 knockout, fighting out of Brentwood, Essex. Here's the 4-time national champion and the GB Elite 3 Nations champion, Jimmy Sains. Sains. Now to the scale, Jesus Lobato. $166.05 for Jesus Lobato. And now to the scale, the undefeated young charge from Brentwood, Essex, Jimmy Sains. $162.45 for Jimmy Sains.
Well, was talking to Jimmy yesterday, Darren. He actually wasn't too happy with his professional debut. He felt very tense. He admitted that he felt nervous, which is understandable. What do you think he'll look to tighten up on tomorrow?
Yeah, just relax a little bit more. Let it flow. Let it come naturally. Don't force it. I don't mind that, though, with a debutant, and I almost expect it. They want to please. They want to excite the fans. He sells a lot of tickets, and, yeah, I expect a bit more flow and rhythm in his work Saturday night.
Jimmy Saints, Jesus Lobeto, 4 rounds middleweights matchroom boxing, live on DAZN from Newcastle, England.
When you think about Jimmy and the few years he's had down the gym with Tony as well, Darren, also a great amateur in his own right, but incredible in-house sparring and just learning. He was talking to me yesterday about the conversations he's been having with John Ryder, who's been looking after him in training camp as well. There's probably not been a better place that he could have been as he made that transition, turning professional.
I mean, everything's there in his corner, helping him on. You know, the experience of the guys in the gym, the wise words and the mentor that is Tony Sims helping you out. That coupled with the talent, as long as he keeps working hard and he dedicates himself to this sport, like I say, he's got a very bright future in front of him.
You know Tony well, and he's already got a big stable. It's busy, that gym down in Brentwood. You get the feeling he wouldn't work with a fighter if he didn't see the potential as well.
Exactly that. He's very picky, very choosy, and rightly so. He's got himself in a position to be able to do so. It's not just how good you are as a fighter, it's what you are as a person, and that says a lot for Jimmy Saints.
He can't have been that picky if he worked with you.
Bar me.
The last fight on the Before the Bell section, Darren, is Ben Rees, brother of Owen, of course, and this is a decent little step up for him.
It is indeed. But he's got that good amateur pedigree. I think it's 5 national titles, very good fighter, big, he's strong, he's aggressive and big punching. So one of these fights, I think, on this card where you do not want to blink.
Well, let's bring Ben Rees and Mohamed Saitano to the stage. Here's David Diamante once again.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, our next contest to weigh in 6 rounds in the light heavyweight division. Now making his way to the stage with a professional record of 7 victories against 3 defeats. He has 5 wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Bruges, Belgium. Please welcome the Street Lion, Saddam Da Silva Caetano. And his opponent now making his way to the stage. He is undefeated in his campaign as a professional with a record of 1 victory, no defeats, 1 draw. His victory came by way of knockout. He fights out of New Biggin by the Sea. Here is Big Tasty Ben Rees. Now to the scale, the Street Lion, Saddam Da Silva Caetano. $183.6 for Caetano, 183.6. Now to the scale, Big Tasty, Ben Rees. $184.45 for Ben Rees.
Well, Saddam Caetano boxed for a Belgian title, Darren, earlier this year. He's done the 10 rounds, and I guess at this stage, a good measuring stick.
Yeah, absolutely. Caetano can fight, like you say. He has that little edge in professional experience, but Rees has that in the amateurs. Great pedigree. He really is a very good fighter, dangerous, powerful, explosive. So it all makes for a very good contest, this.
Let's bring the fighters face to face. Matchroom CEO Frank Smith in the middle today.
Rees versus Caetano, 6 rounds light heavyweights. Matchroom boxing, live on DAZN from Newcastle, England.
Well, both of Ben's first 2 fights, Darren, haven't made it past the first round. The first one, a technical draw, technical decision from a cut, and then the second one, a first round knockout. But that was in the debut was in March 2022. He last fought in March of this year, 2023. November now, he'll be hoping to get some momentum next year.
Yeah, he wants to be busy. He wants to be as active as possible, gain as much experience as possible, and push on to bigger and better fights.
Well, David Diamante is ready now. The live broadcast does begin on DAZN, as I say, 7 p.m. with an eliminator for the English super welterweight title. Ewan McKenzie takes on Ishmael Davis over 10 rounds. The battle of the unbeatens. Here's David.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, our next contest should be fun. Two young undefeated fighters in the Nixie No contest, as Mr. Eddie Hearn from Matchroom Boxing is proud to present 10 rounds for the English super welterweight title eliminator. Now making his way to the stage, his professional record perfect. 11 fights, 11 victories, 5 of them coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Leeds, please welcome the Black Panther, Ishmael Davis. And his opponent now making his way to the stage. His professional record, also a perfect one. 8 fights, 8 victories, with 3 of them coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Jara. Please welcome El Perro, Ewan McKenzie. Now to scale the Black Panther, Ishmael Davis. $153.65 for Ishmael Davis. 153.65. And now to the scale, the undefeated El Perro, Ewan McKenzie. $153.4 for Ewan McKenzie, 153.4 for El Perro.
Well, both fighters weighing in inside the 154-pound limit. You do reach moments in your career, Darren, where you take a leap. Why is that this moment for both men?
Well, I think they're both extremely confident, believe in themselves and believe the time is right. I hope they are extremely confident, because there's a lot riding on this, not just the fact that it's an eliminator, but their purses on the line also.
For the English super welterweight title eliminator. Matchroom Boxing, live on DAZN from Newcastle, England.
Well, the belt vacated by Sam Gilly means Lee Cutler fights Kingsley Egbenike for the vacant English 154 pounds title later this year on December 12th in Bournemouth. We can see that the verbals are continuing here. But the winner of this one, Darren, will be eager to find himself in the mix to face the winner of Cutler Egbenike later this year.
Exactly that. It's another opportunity for these guys to make a statement, make a real name for themselves. Live on DAZN, huge opportunity for both men.
And Frank Smith was talking at the press conference yesterday about real fights. We need real fights. We need people to take the leap, like I was just saying. And this is probably the perfect example.
Look no further. 2 undefeated fighters, both believe in themselves, both want to go to that next level, both want to take that next step, and that's exactly what we've got here.
We were talking about the sofa press conference yesterday, and Mark Dickinson stole the show, didn't he? If you haven't watched the press conference from yesterday, go and watch Mark Dickinson versus Grant Dennis in their little segment. How were you feeling up there watching that?
Oh, it was funny. I was, if I'd have had some popcorn, I would have got stuck right into that. It's another very good fight. It's a crossroad fight, isn't it? It's a fight where you've got the up-and-coming Dickinson against the old, I say old, I'm 41, I'm allowed to say it, but 40-year-old Grant Dennis, who's been there, he's got all the experience at that higher level, so that makes for an interesting battle.
Well, I was talking to Grant earlier this week at the media day, and he believes the experience can and will beat Mark Dickinson. Is that perhaps the biggest danger?
Yeah, I mean, that's what he'll call on for sure. He's got it in abundance at that higher level, so yeah, he'll be trying his best to unsettle the younger charge.
Fight number 2 on the live DAZN broadcast sees the return of 5-0 Mark Dickinson. He takes on Grant Dennis in what is his first 10-rounder. This one an eliminator for the English middleweight title. Here's David to bring them both to the scales.
From Newcastle, England, the official weigh-in continues as we go 10 rounds for the English middleweight title eliminator. Now making his way to the stage, his professional record, 18 victories against 5 defeats. He has 3 wins coming by way of knockout. Here's the former Southern Area champion, fighting out of Chatham, Kent, the go-getter, Grant Dennis. Dennis. And his opponent now making his way to the stage. He is undefeated as a professional with a record of 5 fights, 5 victories, one of them coming by way of knockout. He fights out of West Rainton. Please welcome Mark Boo Boo Dickinson. Now to the scale. Grant Go-Getter Dennis.
Say it again.
163.4 for Grant Go-Getter Dennis. Now to the scale, the undefeated Mark Boo Boo Dickinson. 159.3 from Mark Boo Boo Dickinson, 159.3.
It sounded as if Grant Dennis has failed to make the 160 middleweight limit there. I think 163.6.
Yeah.
So, look, I know myself, when you get a bit older, that weight becomes a lot harder to get off. So, I don't think we'll see any attempts of Grant Dennis to try and get that weight off. 3 pounds is an awful lot on the day of the weigh-in.
There's still a lot on the line for Mark Dickinson in terms of progressing at English level. I don't think it will bother him really in the slightest. And I think this face-off could be as lively as the press conference was. I hope Frank Smith's got some security around him.
Yeah, I think Mark's going to have a lot to say after that missed weight from Grant Dennis.
Dickinson v. Dennis, 10 rounds for the English middleweight title eliminator.
Well, no real face-off there. Grant Dennis seemingly not having any of it. Or maybe not. Tension's boiling over a little bit here, Darren. I bet this makes you miss your days, doesn't it, on weigh-in day as a professional fighter?
Yeah, I'm glad I'm up on this platform away from it all, Jamie, if I'm honest. But yeah, a fiery encounter there. Grant not biting at all. But Mark Dickinson is really, really up for this.
Well, we last saw Grant Dennis, of course, in Dublin on the Taylor Cameron undercard when he took Kevin Ajarko the distance. I think based on everything that's happened this week, Mark Dickinson will be very eager to do what Kevin couldn't do and take Grant Dennis out inside the distance.
100%. If he says otherwise, he's lying. He'll look at that and think, I want to stop Grant Dennis. I have to admit, Grant Dennis in that fight was a little flat. I thought he could have done a little bit more. Kevin Ajarko controlled it from the centre of the ring. So can Mark Dickinson go through the gears, really make life uncomfortable for Grant Dennis, who I've mentioned, and he's probably going to kill me for saying it again, 40 years old and in the twilight years of his career.
Well, sticking with the next crop of talent coming through from the north-east, stablemate of Mark Dickinson, Callum French fights for the 5th time this weekend against Jeff Ofori. 8 rounds at lightweight. This one, here's David Diamante.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, our next contest, 8 rounds in the lightweight division. Now making his way to the stage, his professional record, 12 victories against 5 defeats. He has 2 draws with 3 wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Tottenham. Please welcome Jeff Jumanji Ofori. And his opponent now making his way to the stage, his professional record, a perfect 1, 4 fights, 4 victories, one of them coming by way of knockout. Here is the former Team GB amateur standout and the 2019 European bronze medalist, fighting out of Gateshead, Callum French. Out of the scale, Jumanji, Jeff Ofori. 138, bang on for Jeff Ofori. 138, bang on. Out of the scale, Callum Frenchy French. $137.75 for Callum French.
Well, Jeff Ofori, Darren, been in with a lot of decent fighters. Archie Sharp, Ahara Davis, just to name a couple. The type of opponent you feel Callum French will just have to be on it against. No room for complacency.
Yeah, this is a real step up. Ofori, I've seen some interviews with Ofori, and he feels, I mean, there was an interview after the Archie Sharp fight. He got upset, he couldn't talk, and he was so annoyed that he could have done more. He's yet to prove how good he is. Is this the opportunity for him to upset the apple cart and cause a big upset? Because Callum French is an exceptional fighter, real talent, and really does have a great future in front of him.
8 rounds, lightweights, Matchroom Boxing, live on DAZN from Newcastle, England.
Callum, another one, Darren, who's had bad misfortune with injuries. We were talking about Solomon Sissoko, weren't we, last week in Monte Carlo? Same sort of situation, but at 28 now for Callum, he'll be looking to progress a few levels next year, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, certainly want to go through the gears, through the levels, but now it's about being busy. You can only go through the levels if you're fighting. He'll want to be as active as possible. All of these fighters just want to be busy as possible so they can really push on with their careers.
Callum French, Jeff Ofori, fight number 3 on the live DAZN broadcast tomorrow night, and our chief support, which will be hitting the scales next, the very highly rated Cameron Vong. We'll talk about big occasions. This is a big occasion for this young man. Chief support in Newcastle.
Huge, but how good did he look last time out? I mean, it was your perfect debut. So impressed with him. Really good fighter.
Well, Cameron Vong is stage side with trainer Jamie Moore and opponent John Mosquera as well. 6 rounds lightweights. Here's David Diamante.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to weigh in the chief support of the evening as Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing is proud to present 6 rounds in an international lightweight contest. Now making his way to the stage, his professional record, 5 victories against 4 defeats. He has 1 win coming by way of knockout. Peleando fuera Cali, Colombia. Please welcome John Henry El Chacal Mosquera. Mosquera. And his opponent now making his way to the stage, his young professional record, a perfect one. 1 fight, 1 victory, and that victory came by way of knockout. He fights out of Blythe. Please welcome Cameron, the One Vaughn. Now to the scale, John Henry Mosquera. $140.5 for El Chacal. $140.3 without the baseball cap. $140.3 for El Chacal. Now to the scale, the one, Cameron Vong. $137.55 for Cameron, the One Vong.
Well, Mosquera never been stopped, Darren, gone the 6 rounds on 5 occasions and coming off a decent points win as well last month. What do you expect young Cameron Vong just to have to get his head around tomorrow night in that ring?
I think just do your own thing. Stay focused, stay switched on, listen to Jamie Moore in the corner, and just let things flow. Don't force anything, and that's what I was so impressed with in his debut.
Cameron, the One Vong, John Henry, El Chacal Mosquera. 6 rounds at lightweights, chief support, Matchroom Boxing live on DAZN from Newcastle, England.
He says he was born for this, and he's certainly not short of confidence, is he, Cameron Vong?
It's just the natural flair that he brings to each fight week. Really likes to perform, not just in the ring, but outside. Big fan of Cameron Vong, sorry. He's a very good fighter, is the young man, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him in action again.
It's managed by Sam Jones, trained by Jamie Moore and Nigel Travis, and we must congratulate Nigel Travis on the birth of his grandson over the last 48 hours or so. So congratulations to Nigel Travis and family. When you've got the likes of Sam Jones and Jamie Moore and Eddie Hearn all singing your praises at such a young age, what does Cam have to do to make sure he doesn't listen to the noise too much and get a little bit carried away too early?
Well, I think listen to your team. They'll keep him grounded. Don't worry about that. Knowing Jamie and Nigel and Sam, they won't let him get too ahead of himself. But you've got to feed off of that confidence that those words are giving you. So, yeah, very, very bright future for that young man. Got it all.
I'm hearing we're ready to weigh in the main event. 10 rounds for the WBA Intercontinental Super Bantamweight title. Shabaz the Maverick Masoud versus Jose Sanmartin of Colombia. For the final time this afternoon, here is our MC, David Diamante.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's an absolute pleasure to welcome everybody here today to Newcastle, England, for the official weigh-in for our big night of next-gen boxing taking place here on Saturday night. And it's now time to weigh in the main event of the evening, as Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing is proud to present 10 rounds for the vacant WBA Intercontinental Super Bantamweight Championship. Now making his way to the stage, his professional record, 34 victories, 7 defeats, 1 draw, with 21 big wins coming by way of knockout. Presentando el hijo de Barranquilla, Colombia, damas y caballeros, Jose El General Sanmartin. Sanmartin. And his opponent now making his way to the stage, his professional record, a perfect one. 11 fights, 11 victories, with 4 of them coming by way of knockout. Proudly fighting out of Stoke-on-Trent, please welcome Shabaz Maverick Masoud. Now the scale, El General Jose Sanmartin. 120.2 for El General Jose Sanmartin. And on the scale, the undefeated Shabaz Maverick Masoud. $121.7 for the undefeated fighter from Stoke-on-Trent. $121.7 for the Maverick, Shabaz Masoud.
Well, we have a fight, Darren, and Jose Sanmartin, I must say, made his way onto the stage there. A bit of shadow boxing in terrific shape. He clearly fancies this one.
He does, and look, if you're to make a case for the underdog here, which is Sanmartin, the fight that springs to mind for me is Gary Cully versus Jose Felix on the undercard of Katie Taylor, Chantel Cameron. No one expected Felix to beat Gary Cully, and he's big punching. So is Sanmartin, 21 knockouts on his record. That is his chance here to get on the chest of Masoud and try and hurt this man here. But it bundles of talent. He really is an exceptional talent, and cannot wait for this one, Jamie.
Face to face.
Shabaz Maverick Masoud, Jose El General Sanmartin. 10 rounds for the vacant WBA Intercontinental Super Bantamweight Championship main event. Matchroom Boxing live on DAZN from Newcastle, England.
Final verbals until they meet in the ring tomorrow night. I think Frank Smith had the belt upside down there, but we'll forgive him, will we, Darren?
Yeah, we'll let him off. But yeah, look, they both fancy it. Sanmartin's not here to make up the numbers. He's here to win and take that title home. Really believes in himself. And like I say, 21 knockouts on his record, but in with a highly talented, confident young man, Shabaz Masoud.
You were talking about big punching up sets, and you referenced Jose Felix and Cully there, but you only have to look back to Monte Carlo last week, and even fighters like Adrian
Exactly.
Curio, who on paper you might not think are the biggest punchers. I think he had 4 stoppages in 28 fights. And look what happened in that non-Shinga fight. You never know in this sport, do you?
You never know when you think you've seen it all.
Masoud v. Sanmartin, main event, Saturday night, Matchroom Boxing. Live on DAZN from Newcastle, England.
Yeah, you think you've seen it all and the unthinkable can happen. So don't blink. It's another one where the underdog has a lot of power in both hands. Anything could happen, Jamie.
Seems that I was talking to Ben Davison, he just said Shabaz has been a little bit like a man possessed training for this rescheduled date here in Newcastle. Bit between his teeth, big time. Can you understand why he feels that way?
Yeah, of course. He just wants to crack on. With that talent, it must be so frustrating. You want to showcase it. You want to show the world how good I am. You want to win as many titles as you can. You want to earn as much money as you can. And you only do that by fighting. So he'll be desperate to put on a good performance tomorrow night and really push on with his career.
Well, that does conclude today's weigh-in. I've been Jamie Ward, joined by Darren Barker. Don't forget, all the action live tomorrow night. One place to watch it is DAZN. We begin on Before the Bell, 5:15 p.m. Before the Bell action. 3 fights make up that complement. The Reese brothers and the return of Jimmy Sains before we cross live to the main broadcast at 7 p.m, the usual time, UK time that is, from the Utilita Arena in Mexico. Ewan McKenzie, Ishmael Davis, English title eliminator, number 1 at 154 pounds. Before at middleweight, Mark Dickinson versus Grant Dennis. Don't blink in that one, that's going to be exciting. The return of Callum French over 8 rounds against Jeff Ofori before Cameron Vong takes centre stage as chief support. Before your main event, the Matchroom debut of the Maverick, Shabaz Masoud takes on Jose Sanmartin. 10 rounds locked in for the WBA Intercontinental Super Bantamweight title. We'll see you tomorrow night live on DAZN.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening.